Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Julie and today you are joining me on a brand new episode for the Awkward Space Solutions series. We are talking about those awkward areas underneath your stairs. My team and I have compiled so many different examples, everything from built-ins to freestanding furniture to all of those cool ideas for you to inject into your stairwell space. So grab your beverage of choice, a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, and let's get into it. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, hello, I am Julie. I am a certified interior designer. I have almost 20 years of experience in the industry, 12 years of which I've owned my own business. This series was born out of your need to find solutions to those awkward spaces in your home. We've covered everything from long and narrow living rooms to that awkward corner fireplace. We've got L-shaped rooms, open concept spaces, vaulted ceilings, slanted walls, and today we are tackling your stairwell, specifically that awkward space, that empty space, that big old gaping hole underneath your stairwell. Let's first talk about your existing conditions and understanding your space. Before you embark on any type of interior design, it is essential, so crucial for you not only to understand your needs and the function of your space, but for you to measure it accurately so you know what's going to fit in there. You can see this awkward space under your stairwell as either a unique opportunity to do something fabulous or a challenge that you can't wrap your head around. If you have a super narrow space, that could be the perfect solution for a built-in utility closet. I love to hide all of my daily essentials and kind of junk in plain sight. So anything hidden is probably a plus, but budget needs, restrictions, you really have to think about all of that. If you have a short space, that is ideal for storage. If you have a tall space, you really could just stack up interior shelves. Always think about the space that you have, your existing conditions, and then we can start to plan around it. If you've measured your space and you have a width that is larger than 3 feet or about 90 centimeters, then we can get really creative. Let's talk about built-ins and cabinetry. Built-ins is what we consider to millwork that is actually built into the space. Either you DIY it or you have a carpenter or your contractor, you've measured the space, you've bought the lumber, you've bought the wood, maybe it's primed MDF, maybe it's just studs and shelving. Built-ins are simply custom cabinetry that are measured and designed to fit within the space. There are two different types of built-in cabinetries. We have open storage and closed storage. Open storage simply means that you have no cabinet doors. There are no drawer fronts, there are no doors, there is nothing that is hiding the shelving that is underneath the stairwell. Now, closed cabinetry is what I prefer myself. I love to be able to kind of hide everything behind hidden doors. I feel like if you are not a tidy person, if you're not a neat person, if you're not organized, doors and drawers are a great solution for you to hide all of your personal items. The differences between open storage and closed storage really just has to do with your personal needs and your budgetary requirements. If you have the budget for it, I would always go for closed storage. But open storage also has a capability of being super functional. If you have an open stairwell that's in like a really long and narrow hallway, you might not have the space to kind of open and close doors. You might not have the depth to slide out a drawer. So in that case, open shelving is ideal for your condition. Consider your needs, then design a viable solution to support that need. A common challenge that most people have in their homes is lack of storage, especially for clothes, shoes, and maybe seasonal items like heavy coats and boots. If we start to dissect the shape of a stairwell, clearly you have this diagonal line. If you start to dissect the diagonal line, you really could be creating some sort of triangular cabinetry right underneath it. Now, this is ideal because in the tallest portion of that triangle, you could be housing long coats, long dresses, and as you start to get shorter and shorter on the slope of the stairwell, that is where you can start to fit in some of the smaller pieces, which is why I think under the stairwell is so ideal for clothes, shoes, and accessories storage. I love the way some of these designs took full advantage of every single nook and cranny underneath a stairwell. If the stairwell appears right at your entry, this is a prime opportunity for you to create a landing zone. This landing zone could be a makeshift mudroom. This landing zone really could be a place for you to drop off all of your essentials as you're going in and out of the home. Perhaps this empty space underneath your stairwell is adjacent to your kitchen. This is an ideal space for you to create a makeshift pantry, or better yet, even a built-in pantry system that supports your daily kitchen needs. There are so many different types of pantry solutions. First off, I love floor-to-ceiling adjustable shelves. This allows you to house so many different types of canisters, from tall ones to short ones. You really can take full inventory of your needs and then start to design a shelving system based on those needs. You can use one empty wall for a bulletin board. You can stack magazines, cookbooks, even your essentials like Daily Mail conveniently hung on one side of the stairwell. If you have the budget for it, consider creating a mini pantry nook that is in the same design as your kitchen. You can use the same countertop material. You could have lower drawers or cabinets, a really efficient work surface with hidden cabinetry right on top. Remember that you don't have to get fancy with your built-ins. It could be DIY shelves, wire shelves, mesh shelves. Taking full inventory of your pantry needs first will help you better design this under stairwell space. If you are a bibliophile like I am, you cannot get enough of books. And for me, it's design books, design magazines. It's pretty much the entire design spectrum that has to do with art, interiors, architecture. I love to see all of my design books front and center. If you have a ton of books and you're trying to figure out the perfect solution for it, why not try underneath the stairwell? In this case, I love open shelving for your library because you want to be able to kind of access the books and take them on and off the shelves. I also love to sprinkle in personal items like photography, hobbies, even indoor plants, souvenirs, and your personal little tchotchkes can really decorate these shelves alongside the books. Consider the vertical height you have underneath the stairwell. This might be a prime opportunity for you to create additional seating in your home. I love the way a built-in banquette or a slim little bench looks right underneath the stairwell. If this is just a dropping off point, you could create this banquette for actual seating. You could create this banquette as a drop-off zone. If you have the space for both a banquette and open shelving, I think this is such a beautiful solution to create almost like a cozy little reading nook. You can outfit it with a pendant light to add more lighting. You could upholster the bench and even add decorative throw pillows. You can even clad the entire space in wood paneling to cozy it up. Remember not to neglect lighting, as that is an essential proponent of creating a functional reading nook. I love how this under stairwell design took full advantage of the width of the space. I mean, you can tell that there's not a whole lot of depth. You could easily seat 4 people in here as a little game center, a breakfast nook, even somewhere for the kids to do their homework. If you have a larger space and you're a little bit more formal in how you entertain, consider creating a little cocktail area. I could totally see my girlfriends and I retreating to this little area over a glass of wine or even tea in the afternoon. I always talk about determining your needs first and understanding the function of your home before you dive into any design. That is true for a huge room where you're starting off as a blank canvas, as it is for a tiny little space that's underneath your stairwell. You could even think about creating a wet bar underneath this stairwell as a beverage station. Maybe you love to drink coffee, you have daily afternoon tea, or better yet, you have this massive wine collection and nowhere to put it. Clearly, this type of design takes a little bit more effort. It probably involves some sort of subcontractor or a carpenter to fully build this out. Do you want this understairs space to be something that's just functional and kind of hidden on the sidelines? Or do you want to create a statement wow factor in the space where guests come in and they're just like awed by your amazing design? If built-ins aren't realistic for your budget, you could easily just style the space with freestanding furniture. If this stairwell is at your entry landing zone, you could even create this really beautiful entry area with a console, strategic lighting in the form of wall sconces or table lamps, finished with a really beautiful mirror on top, tabletop accessories, maybe even a little catch-all as your valet station. And of course, to make it fully functional, you will need ottomans, a bench, or some sort of seating so you can put your shoes on and off. Don't forget to finish it off with a really beautiful indoor plant or fresh flowers, since this is the first introduction into your home. If you're unsure about size with an entry console, I say the bigger the better. Span the entire width of that stairwell wall, and if you need to drop in an accent chair or a lounge chair on the side, you would deduct that width, and what you have left over is a space for your console. You really can't get funky with furniture. Think about your lifestyle. If you're living by the beach and you surf every day, you literally could just plop your surfboard right here underneath the stairwell, and it also becomes a conversation starter. It could be an extra area for you to store your clothes, create a really beautiful farmhouse aesthetic, a really beautiful collective vignette, or even show off a singular statement piece of designer furniture. I remember one of my previous luxury home designs. It was actually a spec house that I designed in Newport Beach. We had this massive area underneath the stairwell, and we were trying to figure out what to do with it. I wanted to create a really badass powder room. I love to inject a whole lot of bold style and design in small spaces. So powder rooms are probably one of my favorites to design. Obviously, you have to have the spatial requirements for a powder room first. You essentially just need a toilet, a tiny little sink, and some lighting. If you have a little bit more space, storage is always key. Somewhere for you to put your linens, your towels, toilet paper. Consider a bold pop of color that contrasts to the rest of the home's design. I mean, look at this lime green powder room. It's not something that you would necessarily expect from this type of traditional home, but I love it. I feel like it's such a departure from what is expected, and it's a surprise element that's really gonna wow guests. Smaller spaces are so fun to design because it doesn't require a whole lot of material. You could tile the floors, you could tile every single wall, you could even tile the ceiling. You could add wainscoting, beadboard, wallpaper. You could even outfit the entire bathroom in floor-to-ceiling wood planks. Think about the finishes you love that vibe with your home and anything that's going to make such a huge impact since we're building this out from the ground up. Let's talk about a laundry area underneath the stairwell. If you have the depth to fit in a washer and a dryer, that's awesome. I would love to relegate like utility items, utility closets, laundry areas to these forgotten corners of the home that bring so much more use to it. You typically need the space for both a washer and a dryer to make this under stairwell configuration work. They could be side by side. They could be separated by an interior wall. Just remember that you do need a working surface right above the washer dryer to make it fully functional, and maybe even a slim little shelf above it for decorative items or detergent, maybe even a place to hang your clothes, an ironing board. Remember that measuring the space first is essential to determine the success of this laundry area. Let's talk about the kids. A kid's nook is such a fun solution for this area under the stairs because it's teeny tiny, and so are kids. Can you imagine opening up a secret door to a huge hidden room when you're a child? Somewhere for you to play, somewhere for you to create, somewhere where you can let your imagination run free. Since the adults can't really fit into this space, it's almost like your quiet little corner where you can just relax, unwind, and be a kid. What if you don't have kids, but you do need to address a place for your pets? I love these little built-ins, especially when you don't have a whole lot of space, but you do have a hollow area underneath the stairwell. It's a perfect spot for you to slide in a pet bed. You can even create an area for their toys, their food. Consider the existing design of your home and create a special little pet haven just for your little furry family members. Before we end this video, I have to talk about Feng Shui taboos when it comes to stairwell and stairwell designs. Stairwells in Feng Shui hold a lot of energy to them. That is because stairwells are a natural pathway in and out of your home. They create this pathway for qi to travel. Qi is going to travel in a straight line, whether or not it's climbing up the stairs or it's going down the stairs, which means that anything that's happening underneath all of this active energy is considered negative energy. The idea behind stairwells in your home as it relates to Feng Shui guides and principles is that the stairwell should only be used for storage needs. That's right, you don't want anyone sitting under the stairwell, you don't want anyone working under the stairwell, but I also understand that as a modern designer, there are a whole lot of viewers out there that don't subscribe to Feng Shui principles. But it is my job as a Feng Shui practitioner to kind of just lay all the information out there, and then it's really up to you to determine how you want to design your space around these principles. A huge Feng Shui taboo is having a desk or a workspace underneath your stairs. Why is this the case? It's because all of that active energy that's traveling up and down your stairwell. And think of active energy in terms of symbolism. It doesn't mean anyone is actually climbing up and down the stairwell. Anytime anyone uses the stairs, they have active energy that's tied to the movement of going up and down the stairwell. That energy and that movement never subsides. It is in constant motion going up and down. So anytime you are seated directly underneath a stairwell, all of that active energy is almost suffocating you. It's like pushing down on you, and that constant moving, that constant energy is just not ideal for a workspace. Think about a workspace. This is where you are trying to get work done. This is where you make money. If you are a student, this is where you're trying to excel in your academics and your studies. You don't want all of that energy coming down on you. So definitely think twice before you outfit that understairs area to become a makeshift work area. Now that you understand the basic principles between stairwells and Feng Shui, let's test your knowledge of these taboos. Built-ins for storage. Is that good Feng Shui or bad Feng Shui? You guessed it, that is good Feng Shui since it's just storage. You are not directly underneath it. It's just housing some daily essentials, maybe clothes, maybe seasonal items, maybe a library, maybe even a pantry. That is actually really good Feng Shui. How about a pantry? This one's actually a little bit tricky because if the pantry is just open shelving that's underneath the stairwell and you're not actually climbing into the pantry to access the storage, then it is great. It's a great solution for underneath the stairwell. However, if your pantry has enough space and a landing zone for you to be able to climb into the pantry, I would say that kind of teeters on neutral to bad Feng Shui. Bad because you're standing directly underneath the line of fire, but it's not so bad because you're kind of just accessing the pantry storage area to grab something and go. Let's talk about a library. Is that good Feng Shui or bad Feng Shui? Again, the library is just housing a bunch of books. I would say that this is good Feng Shui. Let's talk about a built-in banquette or a bench underneath the stairs. Is this good Feng Shui or bad Feng Shui? This is also one of those topics that's very, very conditional. If it's just a banquette as like a drop-off zone or a catch-all, maybe you're kind of throwing your coats in there as soon as you step into the door. Maybe it's just a landing zone for guests to put all of their personal belongings, and you've really created that banquette just so that you want to cozy it up. I would say that's good Feng Shui. However, if this is a bench seating or a banquette where you are going to spend a lot of time underneath, maybe you are converting this into a reading nook, I would say that that's bad Feng Shui. All of that energy of people passing on the stairs, going up and down, is going to create that claustrophobic effect where there's always energy that's depressing down on your body. What about a wet bar or a beverage station? Is this good Feng Shui or bad Feng Shui? This is another one of those conditions that I feel is kind of neutral. If your built-in cabinetry is underneath the stairwell and you don't have to walk into it, I would say this is excellent Feng Shui and really great use of this underused space. However, if you still have to climb underneath it and the stairwell ceiling is well above your head, then I would probably nix this idea and go for storage instead. Lastly, what about a powder room? Is that good Feng Shui or bad Feng Shui? If you answered good Feng Shui, you are absolutely correct, and here is why. Even though you need to open the door and technically you are crawling underneath a stairwell space that has active energy going up and down, guess what? The bathroom already holds so much negative energy in it that negative and negative equals a positive. I mean, that reasoning might seem totally far off and not truly accurate, but Feng Shui is all about symbolism. Feng Shui loves it when negative and negative energies cancel each other out. Feng Shui loves it when you can cure something negative with something equally positive. So in this case, since it is a powder bathroom, it's used mainly for guests. You're not using it every single day. The toilet is a symbol of negativity, of waste. Everything goes down the toilet and you've got this negative area as well. Both of these ideas could really combine together to create something really functional and usable for your space. So if you're trying to figure out what to do with that empty area underneath your stairwell, take all of my design tips into consideration. Whether or not you follow Feng Shui guides or principles, it is essential for you to determine your needs first before you land on any type of interior design for your space. The more thoughtful you are with your design, the more successful your design will become. It is a fact that I was raised with a lot of Feng Shui principles and guides embedded in my head. I mean, my grandparents always followed Feng Shui guides. My mom constantly had masters coming in and out of our home. And that space underneath the stairwell was never, ever, ever used for anything other than storage. But whether or not you create a storage solution or a really beautiful space, get creative and have fun with it. If you are currently looking at that space underneath your stairwell now, tell me, what would you do with that space? If you like this type of content and you want more from the Awkward Space Solution series, please give this video a thumbs up. Definitely check out my entire Awkward Space series playlist. I will link it for you in the description box below. Share this video with anyone you know who's struggling with their awkward space. We are now posting on Thursdays, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell to be notified of new videos that we drop every single Thursday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.